Next up is Chicken Run. And Zach, let me tell you, the first Chicken Run, that was a VHS tape that was rented a lot at a Blockbuster, bro.
Wore it out.
So the fact that I associate this movie so much with Blockbuster and Chicken Run 2, Dawn of the Nugget is out on Netflix, what is time? I don't know anymore. What do you think of this one?
I thought it was quite charming, as I do think about most Aardman movies. The claymation animation is obviously like a unique thing nowadays. We don't get them in this elaborate of a production quite so often. And Aardman are the best at it. Like, their characters have so much personality, and they're so inventive and hilarious, and they're like small little details as well. The movie doesn't carry quite the same energy of that first Chicken Run movie. But yeah, I don't know if you can quite replicate that energy either. That said, like, it was still like really fun and cute and sweet. I enjoyed it. I was like pretty absorbed with it. And given that it has that, what is it, 20 plus years of anticipation and build up for it, I think they could have been a lot more disappointing than they were. I thought this was good. Like, I even like kind of ran it back to check out this one part of the movie as well. Like, it's worth a rewatch even. So yeah, I mean, it's not an enthusiastic recommendation, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. We're at that point kind of like with the video games movie where they're like, okay, they're not masterpieces, but I think the curse has been paused. We're at this point now with all of these like long reboots or the long-awaited sequels where they're no longer in the middle range. They're a little bit above. I thought the Good Burger 2 one, that has a lot of nostalgia with it, wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the worst it could be. Did not live up to the nostalgia of the first, but it was still good. Chicken Run, same thing. I think it's also just the story of the first one is just so much more impacting. The metaphors, the references that they make, I think it ages really well, and the animation is really profound. This one is more so that they, it's kind of like a revenge plot of what had happened in the first, but it's really parents, survivors who are trying to kind of raise their chicken kids in a world where they were always fighting. I was looking at the behind the scenes, which I always recommend for Aardman, and how they had to create like different eyeballs and the different sets, and just how they animate all this stuff is fascinating. But one of the big things that they said was, for the main character, they never had her smile in the first movie. So the first thing that they created here was actually having her lips smile for the first time, because now she actually knew joy. And I was like, oh, it's a good continuation to the characters of the first movie and what they have to deal with. But it's the aftermath, it's the after party
exactly
to the big showdown that had already happened. But I agree with you, not a bad follow-up to a classic.
Yeah, and especially like that first one feels like it has such a direct idea. They're kind of doing this whole Holocaust allegory, if you want to get that deep with it. But even just the idea of breaking free from imprisonment or breaking free from oppressors or whatever, it can be applied to so many ideas. So to go from something that feels so like clear-eyed and like thematically resonant to something that's, again, as you mentioned, just kind of like a revenge movie that sort of extends the lives of the characters, but doesn't have as direct of a motivation from the jump. I don't know. It just like the story structure isn't quite as like strong. But all the contents within it are as delightful and charming as ever.
So again, it's on Netflix. If you're curious, go give it a watch. I know that we had discussed prior the idea that Aardman had mentioned the clay disappearing. Then y'all told me they saved the day. They actually had enough. So
apparently,
I think they're good.
Yeah.
For a couple of other ones.
I mean, look, Aardman is a treasure. So we need to pool whatever resources together to make sure that they will be able to continue doing this stuff.
Yeah. There was one thing that I noticed, and this just could be a stretch over here, but Tweety is the farm from the first one, and may or may not come back. I was going through Keegan-Michael Keel's, I was going to say filmography, because he had a pretty wild, what's it called? His 2023 was pretty decent,
Yeah,
Super
he's
Mario
popping up
Bros.
all over the place.
He's about to be in Migration. He was able to finish Schmigadoon, which is his musical series over at Apple TV Plus. He had Wonka. Like, that's a clean record. All sevens right there, bro. That's not bad. I know he did Wendell and Wild, which was a form of stop motion animation. I
Yeah.
don't believe it was Aardman. So I come over here to his upcoming to see what he's got going on. Like, still hits Transformers 1. I see this thing called Mr. Tweety. And I'm like, it can't be Tweety Bird. There is no information on this. I'm not saying this is a scoop. But someone's playing Mr. Tweety and Mrs. Tweety. And I think they may have another spinoff coming out.
Ooh. That'd be exciting.
Or it's a Tweety Bird thing. Either way, this had me curious because there's no news for this. There's no deadline. There's no nothing about this. So I think they're going to continue the Chicken Run universe in some capacity. I think with the deal with Netflix, I think that would be a really cool thing because then that way they don't have to worry about whatever deal that they may have with the returns. But I thought it was a pretty good follow-up for what it is. And it's available.
Especially the way that they sort of like really flesh out the full cast of characters in this one as well. Kind of feels like it is one of the things that movies do when they know there's a potential franchise that they could spin off of it, right? Exactly. Whether that's in TV or more movies.
Yeah. Because now you got older characters, you got younger characters, and even got the bad guys that I think people really resonate with. So Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Let me know your thoughts down below and where your favorite chicken nugget spot is also as well. That'd be really intriguing. I'm a big chicken tender guy. Chicken nuggets? Chicken tenders?
Chicken,
you know, I actually do have one, bro. Because I've been craving it this past week too, like I was with the chocolate. Lee's original recipe, bro. You can only find it like in the Rust Belt. Do yourself a favor, find that chicken. It's so good. It's fantastic. You got one?
Was that the one that you were going to take me to in Austin, but we didn't ended up not having the time, or is that something else?
No, it's a different one.
What's the one in Austin?
What is the one in Austin?
I don't remember.
Oh, the one in Austin was the chicken sandwich spot.
Ah, okay. My favorite chicken spot, you know, I have a soft spot for Federal Donuts down in Philly. Really killing the game.
Okay.
I mean, it's, you know, obviously amazing donuts, but the fried chicken is just so flavorful and crispy. And I found something that reminds me a lot of it here in New York, or at least over in Brooklyn, Peking House. They started doing fried chicken shortly after the lockdown started, and it's now topped a bunch of like best of lists and stuff. That's on my list of things that I'm definitely taking you to next time you come to New York.
No, you know what? Bring it to me, bro, for Sundance. I'll reheat it.
It'll be cold for 12 hours, but
but we'll make it work. But yeah, catch Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget down at Netflix.